Mission Impossible. It's a little franchise, I don't know if you've heard of it, recently had a new blockbuster hit. Well, not quite a hit because of Barbenheimer, but it still did pretty well. It's a big summer blockbuster. The Mission Impossible franchise, there's 7 movies in it with an 8th on the way, and if you don't know, it follows Ethan Hunt, an agent boy who goes around doing agent boy things and accepting missions, and he, does some secretive things. And look, the thing is with these movies is they're big, bombastic action things, and they're so damn good at what they do. I actually think there's only one bad Mission Impossible film, okay? Only one bad one. Hi, my name's Aidan Green. I'm going to rank the Mission Impossible movies today. It's a little bit of a more informal video. I didn't really have time to put together a video essay for this week, and I just wanted to keep things moving, so I thought, why not we just shake it up and do a little bit of a candid ranking of all 7 Mission Impossible films. I recently went through and watched them all for the very first time. I think I'd only seen the 5th movie beyond that, and I think I watched the 6th one on a plane, but I couldn't have told you anything about it. I knew there was some nukes or anything. So this was me going into Mission Impossible with like a clean slate, no idea really what I was getting myself into. As I watched each one, I didn't know which ones were going to be good or which ones were going to be bad, and that was pretty exciting. So let's not waste any more time and get into my ranking of the Mission Impossible movies. So, at number 7, Mission Impossible number 2. This is the only bad one. I don't even know what there is to say. It's so corny. The action scenes are really crazy. Like proper crazy. It's sort of like that Die Another Day vibe. That's the James Bond movie where the action really does feel like you're watching like a TikTok video. Everything about it feels corny, okay? It's a very corny movie. That being said, still had a lot of fun with it. It's got like a 2000s nostalgia into it that I was so on board with. Tom Cruise kills it. Him climbing some rocks at the start of the movie is like, what is this dude doing? This is bloody Mission Impossible. He's not an Olympic athlete. What are you doing? What are you doing, mate? Mission Impossible, the first one. So like I said, I think 6 of the 7 Mission Impossibles are really good. And this one, whilst it's not incredibly good, the first 2 acts in particular set up this franchise. And the second act in the middle, where it's the iconic sequence of him sneaking down into the bank and going on all the software and stuff. If you've existed at some point in the last, 25 years, you will be aware of this scene. And I think it's really well executed. Even the third act, when it gets a little bit goofy, a little bit CGI-y, I loved it. I was there for it. It convinced me to go on and watch all 7 of these movies afterwards. Tom Cruise instantly charms you. Everything about it is top notch. So yeah, that's a good thing for Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible 3 is a bit of an enigma in it, because this one really shows you sort of late 2000s to 2010s action. It's that same Transformers vibe, that color palette. I think from memory it's got a bit of an orange and teal color palette, the same thing that Michael Bay would usually use, and it's very J.J. Abrams. That's right, J.J. directs this one, which is cool that he does. It's a little bit lens flary, and the thing is with this one is it's all action and no plot. But the action is so good, it's like a John Wick movie, you're so on board with it. At times it's a little bit too shaky and there's a little bit too much going on, trying a little bit too hard. But I still really enjoyed it. I loved seeing Ethan Hunt in his little, his life, having a wife. That stuff was awesome. Starting the movie off with a party was like, hot damn, like speaking my language. I was having a bit of a boogie whilst I was watching it. I was so on board with Mission Impossible 3. Whilst, yes, some bits did get a little bit action-y and a bit crazy explosion-y, I was still fully on board with this installment. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. So this was the only one that I had seen prior to me doing this watch of the whole franchise, and I loved it at the time. And on rewatch, comparing it to the other ones, I did feel like this one, it wasn't as good as I remember. Weirdly, it might have just been a setting on my TV, but the color grade felt a bit weird and off for me, but I don't know, I'm very particular with that kind of thing, so just ignore that. There is like a team forming here between, the CIA lady, you've got Simon Pegg doing his thing, Ethan Hunt doing his thing, and of course, the big man himself, Luther Stickle. This guy kills it. I love that he at least has a scene in every movie. It's a good ride. It's not the best one, but it's a good ride. I think one of the big letdowns for me with Rogue Nation is that the movie ends with them just getting glass windows and locking the villain in a glass cage, and I know it's a bit Mission Impossible goofiness, you can get away with it, but it didn't feel like the most rewarding ending to me. But I really enjoyed how this connected into Fallout later on. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol comes in at third. This movie mesmerized me. Tom Cruise climbing up the walls of the skyscraper. Was the skyscraper called? Is it like Wes Khalifa or something? It's not Wes Khalifa, but when he climbs up Wes Khalifa, it's crazy. Like, what is this guy doing? Why is he doing this stuff? But the whole movie also flows on really nice. It's really good action. This is the first movie where they brought Simon Pegg out from the office, and he's a field agent now, and he's such a welcome inclusion. It allows other characters to sort of take it a bit more seriously. And then he can still have fun, and seeing him and Ethan Hunt grow and bond throughout the movies and become, just a couple of little besties, I'm on board with it, and I think that all really starts with this movie. It's a good one. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I was a little late to see this. I was about a week or so late to it, so I'd heard how bloody good it is, and I'm there going, this is Mission Impossible. The movies are fun. It is not going to be the best movie of the year. And is it the best movie of the year? No, absolutely not. But hot damn, this is a fun blast of a time. Tom Cruise, he throws himself off of a cliff. Are you not entertained yet? This guy is unreal. He's the real deal. He's the last great movie star, and you love to see it. So it's another movie that really pushes the characters that they've been building. And that's why I think it does have an up on James Bond. I know James Bond, you've got your Q's and you've got your Moneypenny and you've got your M. And I think they do excel sometimes in James Bond at using those characters. But Mission Impossible in the last 3 or 4 installments has never failed to use these characters, and they're always there in some presence. And instantly this movie has really high stakes. The opening scene is terrifying and intense, and I was watching this in the cinema on my own, and I was almost shaking. It's a spooky one, and then about halfway through the movie, I'm not going to spoil it, but there is some form of character death, and that instantly the stakes grow higher and higher and higher, and you can't help but be gripped by this movie. AI has become such a massive thing in the past 6 months, but has been around for a really long time. This movie was conceived about 4 or 5 years ago, and it took a lot of foresight to see AI and use it as a practical villain. It never feels like it's forcing the dangers of AI down on you, but it is definitely showcasing how much of a threat AI can be. And it's really mind-boggling sometimes that these characters are having to be like, okay, so we've got to think about AI this way. The AI is going to think that we're going to pick this choice and then this choice and make this decision. It's kind of mind-boggling when you have to go into it, but it's a lot of fun. And that last train carriage sequence, Uncharted walked so Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 could run. This train sequence was unreal. It's like you got one carriage and a thing happens, and you move on to another carriage and a thing happens, and another carriage and a thing happens, and it's emotionally exhausting in the best way possible, because you're really rooting for these characters by this point, and man, you just can't help but be entertained by these movies, and Dead Reckoning Part 1 is the embodiment of just how entertaining these Mission Impossible movies can be. And at number 1, this is a pretty universal belief here, but Mission Impossible Fallout is amazing. You can't find a flaw with it, to be honest. The action is incredible. It's slightly tighter than Dead Reckoning Part 1. There's a couple of sort of dead scenes in Dead Reckoning Part 1, but Fallout doesn't have that, and I was so on board from go to whoa. Seeing characters return, there's a bit of a familiar wife character that makes an appearance in this one, and it's emotional. It seriously is emotional, and the final act is properly intense. The return of the villain from Rogue Nation was really good. It was a nice little tie-in, and it's a blast. It seriously is. I can't fault this movie. Tom Cruise flying a bloody helicopter, and in the Alps or wherever it was that they filmed it, is just absolutely insane. It looks incredible. I think that when they got some consistency with the director, Mission Impossible movies really found their feet, and the direction gets more and more confidence each time, and I'm so on board for it. So that has been my ranking from the Mission Impossible movies. Even number 2, which is so bad I enjoyed. These 7 movies, they just get better. It is so rare to find a franchise that just gets better and better and better, and whilst it isn't a straight line, they do. The curve just keeps going up and up and up. And I can't wait to see what Dead Reckoning Part 2 whips up. What is Tom Cruise gonna do next? I know they were talking about him going to space. Have they done that? I don't know. Well, unreal. Absolutely unreal. I can't wait to see it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, like the video, comment down your thoughts and feelings down below, but respect mine for what they are. I made a ranking video when I was a child, and I got obliterated in the comments, so let's not try and do that. My name has been Aidan Green, and I will see you in another video next week. Goodbye.